In this video, I want to talk about why women don't approach men. We recently had a viewer put a comment out and he asked this very question. And I think it's a good question. A lot of men ask it. And there's a simple reason for it. There's a simple reason for it. In society, men are supposed to be the confident ones. We're the ones that are handling the shit when the shit hits the fan, or the masculine is. Let's put it a different way. Not men, the masculine. And since most men tend to prefer to be masculine, the masculine's job is to protect. It's to handle. If you go back in history and look way back, you'll see that men were always the protectors, the providers. We handled the difficult stuff. For example, hunting, building shelter, providing food, all this type of stuff. And so when a woman, way back when, was picking a man, she was really looking for a man that could provide a lot of value in that way. Why? Because she had babies to raise. She had to produce strong, confident offspring or they would die. If she didn't have a good protector, she could die. She might not get fed. And these things were really important. So we fast forward to today, and when women are selecting men, they're still basing it on these kind of criteria that go way back. Our genes are kind of programmed this way. And so the feminine loves to flow. The masculine loves to be direct. And since the feminine flows and plays with more indifference, and the masculine plays with more direct communication, the feminine is going to approach in more subtle ways. It's not that women don't really approach, but they don't approach directly. They send subtle communication. They let you know they're interested, especially if they're really feminine. The more feminine they are, the more subtle and indirect they will usually be. You're not going to find a really feminine woman walking right up to guys and saying hi. Matter of fact, when I see that happen, when I see a real aggressive woman approaching a man in a bar, it tends to turn the men off. Matter of fact, the few times I've seen it, a lot of times I've seen guys back up. They're like, what the hell's going on? This isn't right. Something's wrong here. A lot of men, they don't want to be taken by a woman. They want to be the ones taking. They want to be the asserters. They may not know this, but deep down inside, the masculine thrives on challenge. So as you begin to realize that the feminine is actually sending out tons of signals and telling you they want to approach, make sure you check out our videos on this. There's a link below. You begin to realize how hard she's working to get your attention, from wearing high heels to makeup to hair to taking care of her body, because she knows you're a real visual creature. And what she's asking is that you do your part. Your part is to demonstrate confidence, to handle the shit when the shit hits the fan, to walk into tension. And one of the most important pieces of tension you have to walk into is the fear of being rejected. If you can't handle her emotions, how are you going to handle the world for her? Think about that. If you can't handle her emotions, how are you going to handle the world for her? Now, this doesn't mean she needs you to handle the world for her anymore today, because it's a different world today. But genetically, we still get turned on by that demonstration of that ability. And the demonstration of that ability has nothing to do with money. A lot of guys think it has to do with money. A lot of guys that have money have that ability, and that's where the association gets made. But a lot of guys that don't have that money have that ability too. I've known guys that were insanely confident, living in a van, sleeping with girl after girl, more than one, by the way. I've known guys that just didn't care about money, but they were uber confident in other ways, and women just showed up. One had just gotten out of prison. He had no job, no money. He was on parole, all these things, and girl after girl came over to the house. Why? Because he wasn't afraid of the women. And if he did get scared, he stepped right into it and faced it and walked right up to him anyways. He demonstrated his part as a masculine man. And the feminine came out in the women. If the women weren't fully feminine, more femininity came out when he stepped up that way. So I want to invite you to start realizing your job, yes, is to approach, but you don't have to be an approach machine if you don't want to be. If you start getting really grounded, really solid, really down in your body, and you start understanding these principles, you're going to start to notice that there are a lot of women sending you signals. And these women are telling you, I want you to say hi to me. It's almost like you're invited in. Rather than having a cold approach, you have a lukewarm approach. And because it doesn't mean that she's going to open right up. She might. It might mean that you're going to have to talk a little bit. She's going to decide if she likes you, but she's inviting you over to start a conversation. And you're going to start to notice, if you get really good with these signals, that you're going to see that other women are telling you not to approach. It doesn't mean you can't approach them. It's just going to be a little more work to open them up. You're going to have to demonstrate a little more confidence. You're going to push a little bit harder. And in that, you'll begin to realize that we each have roles to play in this world. And if you don't want to be the masculine, why should a woman be feminine for you? If you don't want to be the masculine, why should a woman be feminine for you? So with that said, if you have any questions about this, or if you want to know more, put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your comments. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And remember, only the confident really live. So the first one that I want to talk about is called the girlfriend gab. Now, I'm sure Yaz knows this one. She's got a lot of beautiful women that are her girlfriends, and they're talking all the time. I see them do this. And the girlfriend gab is the idea that women energy. Do you appreciate that? Okay. Do you think women might notice a man who's cultivated as masculine? See, some people confuse masculine, and today they think masculine means I'm an asshole. That's not masculine. Okay? That's just being an asshole.